Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always, joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. The heat's picked back up, which is always terrible for me. However, new kit day, and I love it. So I'm sure we're going to get into it, but I've definitely ordered it. This was the first time in a long time that on the day of launch, I've gone, I need that like right now.
It's
so
nice.
yeah, mate, it's always a good day.
Let me tell you that with the active technology that they've put in this shirt, the heat wouldn't be a problem, and the sweat would just roll right off.
Do you mean the dry cell technology?
Dry cell
technology, because apparently that's how polyester works now. I mean, I don't know. I've seen how football shirts look on footballers over the last couple of years, right? Where the amount of times where the shirt within 5 minutes is just soaking wet is beyond me. But hey, what do I know? I clearly don't design fabrics for a living, so hey ho, there's more important and more fun stuff to talk about regarding it than the super good dry cell technology, mate.
I don't know. It excites me. Maybe it'll work. But look, I like it. I very much like the kit, and all of the feedback I have seen on the kit is very positive, which is frankly unheard of, right?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I really, really liked it. And the only bit of feedback that made me laugh, not that it's made me change my mind on it, was my wife going, "Oh, I've been trying to figure out where I know it from," and then she was just like, "I've got it, refreshers, Swizzles refresher bars, the blue and yellow bars," and I'm like, I don't understand why it looks more like that than say our last blue and yellow kit. I think maybe it's that it's a lighter blue this time around, but I get where she's coming from, and I also don't hate that. It's still a good comparison.
Yeah,
it's universally across like Twitter and everything. I've noticed everyone's like, "This kit is brilliant. I really like this kit. I really like this kit." I think there's a couple of opinions I've seen. I'm quite happy that it's not collared. I'm happy to have a non-collared shirt out of the three I'm inevitably going to buy. But some people really, really wish it had a collar on it as well. So I don't know how you feel about that,
Greg. If I tell you I hadn't noticed, would you even be surprised?
No, I wouldn't. I would not be surprised in the slightest. But
I like it. It's nice to have the option, right? Like, I really like the collar on the red and white, but actually, this without the collar looks really nice. I like the sponsor. I really like it, mate. It's
just a very nice kit. It's just very, very nice, and hopefully we'll have some banging.
I love the yellow and blue.
I always have done as well. We talked about this in our what was it called? Good Lord.
Our kit blind rankings.
Yeah, blind kit rankings. There you go. You can tell I'm still very social media pilled, Greg. But yeah, that's always been one of my favorites. You'll probably see me on the podcast if you watch it in video format. You'll see, or even the clips. I'm using that kit quite a lot because it's just a really, really nice kit. So the idea that they're going to have an even sort of nicer looking ones, very, 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 very hype. So, Greg, it turns out obviously 90s, which makes sense because it's a 90s kit, which we should have really put a lot more of 2 and 2 together earlier on. We didn't. The theme does seem to be generic nostalgia, considering we've got 2 kits, one from the 90s, one from the 70s.
Yeah, right. I've looked at some of the pictures, right? Okay, and I'm sure we'll get into the players that have been picked at a point. But I've got a couple of observations. Now, firstly, Jack Stevens has been given the Yuki Sugawara treatment in his particular version of the photo. He has not been done. And the upsetting thing is, on the store website, Yuki and that particularly unfortunate, grumpy-looking Jack Stevens photo are the ones they've picked to go with, to click on to get the kits. It's...
Oh, dear. No, you're not wrong.
The second thing I wanted to point out before we get too deep into the players that they've picked to model it, right, is there's a great picture of this 90s retro of Matty Fernandez and Wellington playing games together. Now, Wellington is on a classic DualShock 1 PS1 controller, and Matty Fernandez is on what looks to be a GameCube controller. So what are they playing?
Well, there could be one separate TV, mate. There could be two separate TVs. You know that was how it was back in the day. You'd have to have LAN parties. You know, if you hit the amount of split screen, and also what if you want to play two different games at the same time? But also the GameCube wasn't out in the 90s, so you're probably more likely an N64.
Maybe it's an N64. You're right. Oh man,
I'm gonna have to double check this photo now because it's bothered me. So please hold.
It might just be like an off-brand coloured DualShock 1 controller, but
it's the yellow DualShock, mate. What are you chatting about? That's no GameCube Saturn N64. It's fine.
It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. I don't remember there ever being a yellow controller.
It's a very 90s bedroom, like classic oak, like wood furniture everywhere. You got the Letizia picture in the background. Yeah. It's solid, mate. It's a really nice kit. You're right though. Bold choice picking Fernandez to be one of the kit people, right?
Yeah.
Is this like when we thought Wade Ward-Prowse was staying because he modelled the kit?
Hopefully it's different because I think hopefully Matty's going to stay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, also the modelling must have taken place, I want to say, a little bit later. And the only reason I say that is because he's been away for a long time, right? So was this done before Portugal or after? Because apparently he's only been back in the building a few weeks, right? So
yeah, and he wasn't really involved in the home kit photos that we've seen. So did like those photos just not come out very well, or did they just pick him for the face of the away kit?
Either way, like there's some nice quality shots. There's some good modelling going on there. It's nice to see. You know, it's just a really nice kit. You know, Archer's looking a bit like he's going to beat me up. I don't know. He looks to be in like a swimming pool changing room, but it's a bit liminal spacey and creeps me out a little bit. But I don't know if that's just me being like. I don't know if that's saying more about the things I'm scared of than anything else, mate.
Like, you've got to think that it's an artistic choice for these expressions and not just that our footballers are so miserable from last season they couldn't even muster a smile, right?
Nah, got to be. You're right. It's got to be artistic choice, right? Like, that's where I'm at. But either way, it's one of those photos where it's a bit. I'm a bit sort of like, it's a bit weird.
I love the like awkward angle mirror shot as well.
Yeah, they're all. I remember there was one that I've already lost the meme, but it was very funny of like sort of him in the background looking like he's stalking you, like he's like right at the end of a corridor looking forward through, right? And it's very much sort of it's just good. It's good fun. It's been they've had two really really solid kit launches now, right? And like this campaign's done well enough to make me buy it immediately, which again is usually not a thing. I usually pick one kit sort of before the season starts, and that's when I'll go pick it up. Never on launch day have I gone, oh, actually, I need to buy that almost immediately, which is where I'm at now. So I guess that says what my opinions are both of which kit I prefer this year more than anything. But as I said, I'm convinced I'm going to end up with all three, because looking at what the potential leaked away kit, third kit's meant to be, that's meant to be 2000s, right? That's meant to be 2001, 2002, the sort of Friends Provident one, Provident one. So that's we're now going to have 70s, 90s, and 2000s. So we can now fully establish, Greg,
is 2000s actually retro? Yeah, is that how far we've come?
Yeah. I can't remember who I was speaking to about this a couple of weeks ago, and this is a bit off topic, but was talking about how like vintage jewelry is anything over like 20 years old. So they had like jewelry from like when they were at school that like was that was bought by their parents' son over like year 7 or something, and it's now technically classed as vintage because it's outside that. So yeah, 2000, mate, as upsetting as it would be, is over 25 years ago. So, so it would be
with that existential crisis slowly unfolding, I need a break. Let's have a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And we are back. So that's it. Nice kit launch out the way. Zach, next up, another little behind closed doors pre-season friendly today against our French sister club. That'd be fun.
Should be interesting. I don't know how much we're going to hear out of this one, right? I don't think that it's got any sort of Alfie House has been flown out to France or anything, to my knowledge. But
is it at Staplewood? I'm pretty sure it's at Staplewood.
I thought it was over there. I thought they'd flown out. I might be making that up.
This one was at Staplewood, and that then next week we fly out to Spain for our.
That would make more sense. Either way, it feels like I'm definitely less in the know than you.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it. Yeah,
I've been so caught up with the kit releases. I remember seeing I think it was. I assumed it was there because it was a picture of the badge in a training ground that I perhaps didn't recognise, and maybe I should have realised.
Yeah, it says on Friday, Saints welcome fellow Sports Republic.
Right, then I am completely in the wrong, which shows you how well my brain's going today, mate. Either way, it's exciting. More pre-season. Pack in more pre-season. Pack in more running, more players doing well. As I said, we've still got a couple of chances for some players to come good. We're all hoping realistically for a Ben Brereton Diaz hat-trick, right? Something like that. Just something to... I would like to see some surprises, but I feel like that isn't necessarily going to be the case. Do you know what I mean? I think that we're probably going to see more of the same. There was talk of... I was seeing rumours of sort of knocking around. Obviously, it's X, so take it. It's Twitter, take it with a pinch of salt. But I saw rumours knocking around of potentially they want Matsuki to go out on loan this season, and they're just getting him some sort of pre-season minutes in, which, if that's the case, is mad. Because it just seems like he's more than ready. He's the one that's had a whole loan to get used to being bedded in at the club. And if we're just going to send him out on loan again, I don't really understand what the purpose of putting him through the ringer is.
It's a tricky one, right? Because although he's a promising talent, if you think about the sort of shape we're expecting to play with, and we're expecting to play with some sort of midfield three, is what I've sort of feel like we've seen in pre-season, or maybe with a sort of two with a proper attacking minded number 10. Does he get in over Matty Fernandez, Flynn Downs, even Shea Charles? So is maybe loan?
But it depends what's happening, right? They don't want Aribo to see out his contract. He's the one that seems to be getting the least amount of minutes, right? He started on the bench a couple of times. He's come on, but it very much feels like he wants to be on his way out. So that leaves us, with Shea Charles, Flynn Downs, sort of Matty Fernandez if he stays. But I thought he would work in that sort of two with Matty in front, and he would play sort of box to box. And I'm just kind of surprised that we would let somebody that so far has shown probably the most promise next to Jay Robinson in our 2 pre-season games we've had so far. And, we brought him back off of loan, and it just kind of seems a bit of a waste. That's just my opinion, right? Obviously people know I have a bias. I want him to do well. I was very excited when we signed him. So, but yeah, I
agree. I would love to see huge things from him this season. I don't know if he'll be given the space to flourish, because at the moment our midfield's quite competitive, right? Especially if we get the signing of another creative midfielder that we're looking to, that's the mysterious third signing that was pre-agreed.
But that's the thing. We also still haven't heard anything about that, so I'd be interested to see where that lands now, and whether or not they'll put it towards something else, such as a goalkeeper. If that comes around, obviously we haven't, I know we chat a lot about whether or not that's going to be a thing that we need, but I still think...
point of concern. It is
going into a season with supposedly 2 goalkeepers seems a bit insane to me, especially considering both of those goalkeepers in the last season and a half have had not long-term injuries, but there are a couple of times that McCarthy was out, right, when he had to play a lot of games in a row, and it's just concerning. So I think we should,
It feels a lot like the calm before the storm on the transfer front at the moment, doesn't it? It's all really settled down and quiet. We know stuff's going to happen. We know stuff's coming, but it's really hard to tell what.
Yeah, it's like we're already seeing reports. Apparently West Ham want to go after Taylor Harwood-Bellis and are supposedly waiting for like a late bid. I don't like the lateness of it all. Like, again, we're in no position where we need to sell, so having to disrupt players just before the season starts when we don't really need to do that seems a bit silly. Obviously, some of this isn't our decision, right? Some of this will be the club's, but then, yeah, just kind of we should be concentrating realistically on what's going to happen next season. And I know that pre-season's fitness and bits and pieces, but we are going to have to start building for what's next. And if there are people that don't want to be here and are kind of on their way out, then surely you should prioritize the people that want to be here and stay, right? Like, you've had a couple of people that have, we saw Jan yesterday in that video, in the spider video of all things, like the weird first kind of real sort of appearance from him. And I don't really know that kind of those true transfer rumors kind of died down. So now we're going to be left with 27 centre backs to play all positions across the field. So it's either the calm before the storm, or like turns out the storm was just like the two players we bought, which seems a bit.
I feel like
believe that.
Nah, exactly. It's got to be the calm before the storm, because we still have to trim this squad one way or another, right? So it's such huge numbers that we've got in. It's of, frankly, such mixed quality. It's really interesting position to be in. It's not great.
Mixed quality is the key there, right? That's going to be the problem. Is it's also figuring out, because we've seen it happen with different managers and different systems, quote unquote, that some players come good and some don't, right? Like this, that's how we've managed to get like an extra sort of £10 million for Salamana that we never expected to get. So there are opportunities for quite a few players here that we would kind of deem towards the end of their Southampton career, but a lot of them aren't exactly doing anything to go out in a blaze of glory. As you pointed out, that first friendly seemed more like the original Gillingham game, where we really was able to test, like, okay, well, this is who is going to play for us in the future, and this is who isn't. I just feel like some of the rumours for transfers away and some of the rumours for sort of people going to stay worries me just a little bit. I know that we went into yesterday with massive positive vibes and like really, really hyped up. And I go into this friendly hoping we'll do really, really well and they'll get some more minutes under their belt and a few more goals and quote unquote continue winning ways. But it is also sort of like, I'm like, are we really, really going to be sending out sort of some of our promising talents and keep some players that...
What'll be really interesting to me off the back of tomorrow or today's game is looking back at the reflective starting lineups and seeing what's changed and what's the same. I'm sure that across the two games, we might start to see something that looks like a first choice 11 of what we've got at the moment starting to form.
Well, yeah, that's what they did. Obviously, Gillingham were like two 60-minute games, right?
It's going to be the same.
60-minute halves.
Going to be the same format.
Yeah, and they very much did that, where they swapped around some of the attacking players, and you've got like sort of Archer and sort of Armour, and then on the other side you had Stewart, whereas previously in the second half of Eastleigh it was like Archer. So they've already started to sort of chop and change and mix things around and see who has chemistry together and who doesn't. And like one of the reasons I'm there is like it's the same with the criticism of Edozie, is that again every time obviously it's only been 2 pre-season friendlies, but it's been agreed that the second team has obviously shown more of what we want. And that second team has included Edozie twice, Matsuki twice, a couple other players twice, and it hasn't really included sort of like the likes of Ryan Fraser and, Adam Armstrong and people like that. So, again, I'm always open for redemption arcs. I'm just it's going to be striking the right balance between youth and people that are willing to play this new way of football and adapt to this new style. And then you've got the experience of being in the Championship, but I also worry that you don't want almost too much of the taint of last year, because the taint of last year, as we talked about, was like, well, they even said, and we talked about it, literal trauma is how some people felt after the end of last season, because and going in that, you're going to need some people that don't necessarily have that trauma. And that's why I think that, if you have 1 or 2 new people in every position, in every sort of area of the park, you're not going to be able to dwell on that too much. And, if you're passing amongst players that you were what was the stat you were telling me beforehand? Like Taylor Harwood-Bellis apparently has more passes than the entirety of Barcelona.
I absolutely made that up because it was funny.
Either way,
definitely hyperbole for the sake of comedy.
The fact that it's that believable, mate, shows you that, like, do you see what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for the players, and I'm hoping they come good. I just don't understand why we wouldn't use these options, and I genuinely see some of these loan returnees being like new transfers, and that's how we should treat them. So the idea that we'll just ship them straight back out again after involving them in pre-season, we may as well have just let them stay out on loan if we weren't going to bother. That's kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to move on. I've got a couple of tidbits from the wider footballing world to have a chat about. But first, a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. Okay, and we are back. Keeping it loosely Saints related, Zach. See all this faff about Carl Walker-Peters no longer going to Besiktas?
Well, apparently he hadn't quite made up his mind, so he requested like a delay, and they were like, nah, that means that you're probably gonna like maybe back out of this, so we'd rather just say no to you immediately. Yeah, I said, like, we talked about it, I want to say yesterday, maybe the day before, it's kind of wild that he ended up in Turkey anyway. I know that it's not, you know, I know that as much as we valued him as a player, he was also still part of 2 relegations. He was one of the better players, but I thought, you know, he might end up at sort of a solid mid-table team, or alternatively get like a move to Tottenham to kind of pad out their English players and homegrown rules. And then it was kind of surprising that he ended up in Turkey. I'm not going to lie. Especially considering like a lot of his best mates, like Solanke's at Tottenham, you know, Dele Alli's now at Como, so I want to say he's in Mexico or or somewhere like that. So like I'm very or Italy, but I'm very surprised that, you know, I was very surprised that he was going to go there anyway. And now I'm wondering if either he's gone, actually nah, or alternatively another offer has come in and he wants some time to have a look at that offer before he says yes. And like the problem with that, in similar to like Danny Roll at Sheffield Wednesday, is that he might now have had that offer withdrawn, and the place that he might end up going might be like, actually no, and then he ends up with less options than he had before.
Yeah, but Danny Roll's another interesting one, right? Like,
yeah,
he's really not made a good position for himself.
Well, his stock's certainly gone down, right? Like, he didn't get the Leipzig job, he didn't get the job at ours, he didn't get the job at Leicester. He was kind of all for that, and now kind of made his position a little bit untenable at Sheffield Wednesday. And now apparently they're going to part ways, which doesn't really surprise me, because I very much doubt you can go back into that room after coveting 3 or 4 jobs and look at all the players and be like, let's do our best. But
the way in that tricky position, I was going to say, especially in the tricky position they're in at the minute,
the way that club's run, like I feel like they don't really have much of a choice, because it's like, cool, are you going to start paying me, or do I just, you know, am I not actually getting paid anymore? Because having to like all of that side of things is, when we talk about, you know, we're not. I'm probably more critical of Sports Republic than you, right? That's safe to say. But when we talk about, let's just replace him with any old owner, like, this is what any old owner could be, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, and then you end up with a promising young manager who basically overplayed his hand and is now stuck in a horrible situation where he's probably going to leave and have to pick up like a job that maybe he initially didn't want. But like, I guess it's what happens when you fly too close to the sun. It's no disrespect to the guy, but, you know, sometimes you overplay the card you've been dealt, and then you end up in a really rubbish position. And hopefully he'll sort himself out. But yeah, the Carl Walker-Peters thing may be similar. It may be not. Maybe I just have I have a feeling from the club's perspective, having, you know, expecting to sign a player the next day, and you even put like social media messaging out about it, and then nothing happens, and it's because the player's gone, actually, nah. Yeah, I'm not really surprised that they would turn around and be like, do you know what? Fine, no. Because, like, sucks, right? Like, I get, it's got to be frustrating if you're a club like I can't really think of any huge examples that we've had other than the players that were already playing for us that don't want to stay. But it's not pleasant for anybody involved. But
No.
I always consider Carl to be a top professional, so I feel like it's not like anything would be done underhanded. Put it that way. You just said, "Hey, I want a delay," and they went, "No."
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. Still fascinated to see where he will land at the end of the transfer window. And I guess just briefly, as we're running out of time, opening the door to a massively complex subject that definitely should warrant more discussion, but perhaps not on a Saints-based podcast. Crystal Palace getting thrown out of the Europa League is nuts, isn't it?
Well, I was talking to you about this. I talked about our multi-club model, and you were like, that would require Gestapi to be in the European positions and us at the same time, and something like this happens. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is like, once this is, it sets a precedent, right? And I can't help but feel the precedent is that one of the teams and their ownership broke the rules and then appealed to to UEFA and AFA and managed to basically get out of jail scot-free at the expense of another team that hasn't done anything wrong. And I can't help but feel, unless it's to do with like weird money stuff going on behind the scenes, why that's okay.
It's wholly baffling as well, and like there's so many additional layers of complexity, like the fact that the bloke who owns both or had ownership in both of them now doesn't own Crystal Palace in any way. He sold his part anyway. Yeah. Oh, it's such a strange.
It's punishing somebody for someone else's misdeeds and misfortune, and also it seems like I don't even know if Lyon have got like a points deduction or anything. They basically just like had their punishment waived, right? They get to stay in League One. Right, like surely, okay, you get to stay in League One, you don't get to be in European competitions anymore, right? I'm wondering if they went, well, that would kill our revenue stream. They're like, oh, fine, well, we'll let you stay in Europe considering you've budgeted for this revenue. But all of this stuff is just like, I don't really understand that. But this is the fear. Like, what happens if then we get sold down the line from Sports Republic, and then something happens of a similar vein? It sets a precedent, and it starts to make you wonder, okay, well, how good are these multi-club models? Because if something like that could happen to us, like imagine the outrage, right? Like imagine, and I feel for Crystal Palace fans, because it's just not fair, and they seem to be like, yeah, sorry guys, just how it is. No, it's not. You can easily sort this problem out by just not allowing Lyon to ridiculous. Yeah. It's a can of worms. I could rage about it for an hour.
Multi-club models and the pros and cons is going to inevitably be an entire episode of its own.
It could be a series at this rate. I'm not gonna lie. Like, come on! Like the amount of we are starting to see benefits from it. Maybe right. We get to send some players out on loan. They get some experience in a good sort of quality European league, and then they come back with experience. Again, if we don't bring it, not to bring it too much back to Masuki, but like if you don't then utilize that, same with Kaya Sander, right? Like we brought him over. We utilised it a bit, but if we're going to send all of the people out on loan who we've bought in that we've sent to other clubs constantly, it's like, what's the point? At that point, we're just becoming Chelsea, where we own a bunch of players and loan them out for a fee. But if it's amongst your own club, unless it's
it's an interesting one, right? Because if they're not ready for the Championship this season,
well, they're going to be ready for the Premier League.
Yeah, that's it, right? No loan spell is going to make them ready for the Premier League in a year's time. So,
and like I get that they're young, but that's unfortunately the age that professional footballers are breaking into the leagues is getting younger and younger anyway. And we should just deal with that. Like you don't really see a lot of late bloomers now, right? I'm thinking, in fact, all I can think of is strikers like Ivan Toney and sort of Jamie Vardy are the last sort of ones in my head that I can think of where they've come through sort of later in life. If you've got someone at 23, 24, and they still aren't ready to play in your second tier of English football that you've been demoted down into, when are you ever expecting them to become good? If they're there to just be sold, then what's the point of passing them around in between the multi-club model? Like, I'm waiting to see more benefits. I'm hoping we'll see them this season, but just doesn't really feel like it yet. And you get things like this where catastrophic multi-club model story. You know, again, I know that it's a pipe dream that we might be back to Europe one day, but it's also not a pipe dream because we managed it once before.
I feel for Crystal Palace, and I hope their appeal works out for them. It feels like they've got some confidence in their sort of legal challenges, so we'll see how
after they won the FA Cup, my anger over the Zaha James Ward-Prowse incident of like, I don't know, about a decade ago at this point has calmed significantly. And yeah, I really hope, you know, because that is the difference between a lot of money and then you've got sort of, I'm not saying that Nottingham Forest are setting themselves up to be villains at the moment, but they're not doing themselves any favours, right? Like you've had like their own in-house referee to consistently call on refereeing decisions. You've now got sort of them trying to say that release clauses aren't release clauses, despite the fact they're release clauses. You've got.
I even saw someone post actually on social media the other night that they'd applied to Millwall for copyright terms of their chant "No one likes us, we don't care." So.
Greg, we've got to stop spreading misinformation like this. Like your Barcelona study, some of it might be believable.
Oh dear. Look, that's it. Well, look, that's just about all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back on Monday as we look back on probably whatever we managed to get out of the pre-season friendly, and I'm sure that there will be lots and lots to talk about after a weekend away. Zach, as ever, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
Let us know on the socials. Do you like the new kit, the away kit? What's your favourite, home or away? Where are your loyalties lying? Let us know. We are on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, all of the socials. Hit us up, let us know. We look forward to hearing from you. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you Monday.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.